All right, everybody. Well, welcome to MVP Office Hours for October 20th. I'm Jackie Travieso, and co-hosting with me today is Dale Ziegler. This is going to be probably a small, intimate group, which is great because that means everybody has an opportunity to ask all kinds of questions. You've got a list of events there on your slide right now, starting off with, of course, Dreamforce. That's the big talk of the town next couple of weeks. Hope to see everybody there. If you haven't attended any of the world tours, you can check out the schedule there at salesforce.com/events. And you can find all kinds of other events listed at admin.salesforce.com/all-events. So check that out. MVP Office Hours, for those who are joining us for the very first time, we hold this call the first and third Friday of the month. It is an open Q&A discussion. We generally have a panel of MVPs. We like to talk about project approaches, give pointers, talk about resources and recommendations. One of the things that we recommend is that if you want to talk specifically about code or really in-depth processes that would take a longer conversation, post those to answers and then get the entire world involved in that conversation because, as you know, it's a global resource and you get all kinds of recommendations, and then we can jump in on that as well too. We are recording today and we'll post this to both community and Twitter. If you haven't had an opportunity, please go ahead and mute yourself so we can minimize background noise. Please feel free to ask any question. There's no question too big or too small. You can use I think in this chat, there is a raise your hand function. We are a small group, so if you just happen to holler out, I have a question, that'll probably work today too. Announce yourself so we know who we're speaking to. And please, everybody join in and share your experiences because we all come to the table with different perspectives and usages for Salesforce. So please join the conversation. Before we entertain our first round of questions, wanted to let you know that MVP Office Hours is going to be at the Admin Meadow in what is called the Community Cove. This is a brand new section within the Admin Meadow. We'll be doing what's called a community campfire on Tuesday at 2:30. We will have stickers to give out, and we're adults and we all need stickers. So please come by, introduce yourself so that we've got a name with a face, and grab a sticker. And we're also going to be talking about a global MVP Office Hours where we bring together all of the MVP Office Hours across the world, India, EMEA, Latin America, and let people know that there are other opportunities across the globe as well. And if somebody is interested in kicking off their own group, we can give you some guidance on how to do that as well. So stay tuned for more information about the global MVP Office Hours website and umbrella and how we can grow this program even bigger. All right, well, with that, let's go ahead and open it up for questions. I thought we would start with any kind of technical questions, curiosity questions, and then we can also talk about Dreamforce as well. So if anyone's got a question, let's go ahead and not be shy.
I have a question, but if anybody else on the call has a question, I can save mine. This is Jennifer.
Jennifer, go ahead and kick us off. Jennifer is a fellow MVP, and this is proof that we all have questions no matter how long we have used Salesforce and under what capacity. We always come to the table with questions. So Jennifer, kick us off and show us how it's done.
Okay, so rather than trying this out myself and experimenting, I thought I'd hit you guys up to see if you have ever done something along the lines of, I have a client who has to take a lot of pictures. He's a green company, so he has to take pictures of lighting, and he's on Lightning only, and he's wanting to, like, when he's in an account or a lead or working on an opportunity, he wants to like take the picture and immediately store it in a file, but in a certain folder. So for example, it's say estimate lighting photos. And so I kind of know how to do this in Classic, but I've never done it in Lightning, where at first I was like, oh, I'll just make a quick action, right? Like a quick action that'll say, you know, do you want to post this screenshot or photo to this folder? But I realized when I did that at my last company, I was posting it to a group. So I'd post the file to like, sales last month. So I'm trying to figure out if if either of you have ever had experience with that, and then we have the secondary doing it in Lightning as well. So like I said, a quick action to a group is easy. A quick action to a specific file folder, not so easy.
That's a really good question.
And it's a legit question, because that seems, if a client needs to store that, typically they would go like just in, like your notes files section under like an account, right? But they're not organized into a folder that you can get to later and review. They're just under that account. So he wants to keep all of his estimates in an estimates folder.
And so it's not necessarily by account. It's more of the file side of things, or what's?
Yes, so he wants to keep all his estimates in an estimates folder, no matter who the client is, because he does something with them later.
Okay.
So yeah, because the first thing I tried to talk to him about was, we'll just store it under the account, and we'll just use accounts to make things easy here. I was like, well, that'll always be under the account. But then he's like, well, what if I want to see all my estimates? And then it's like, how do I pull those all out of every single account and put them one quick place for him? And so, I've done this before, but I didn't put them in any kind of individual folder. I put them in a group, like posted them all to a group for easy access. But
you're talking about a chatter group? You posted them to a chatter group?
Yeah, like, so I used to make like a group for, like sales last month, or product catalog, and then everybody could go to that group and retrieve those files out of that group. And it's not the same thing as, and it seems like a very easy request, right? When I'm saying, I want to, post my files into and keep them in a folder, sounds super easy. But then when I went to do it, I'm like, this is not as easy as it sounds. So, I have a couple like ways in my head that I was thinking of maybe going about this, but I was just curious what you guys thought.
I haven't done it at that level. I did work on a project where through a website, people would submit photos, but then it would just go to the account.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was the account. It would just sit on the attachments. So I haven't done that at a folder level or a tagged level.
Well, I was, that was another thought, is he has a Google account that, a Google Drive account that he's been saving his, and I thought about maybe bringing those two together somehow, and that would also save on space. So there's a couple ways we could tackle it, but, I'm trying to eliminate that you can't do that. Mm-hmm. But I haven't had anybody tell me you can't do it, so I'm wondering if there is a way to do it.
Well, and is this a multi-user org, or is it just this one person?
They're a new company, so right now it's only him, but there's a handful of sales reps to be trained next month, and so he's doing everything himself. So this is, to give you the context, a company that started off with 5 people, has now grown to 20 people, and they have more business coming in than, as fast as they're hiring. So they have 5 new sales reps that will be doing what the one sales rep was doing alone. So I'm trying to get his sales process down in order to train the other ones. And everything else has been very easy except this. I got stumped on the files.
Well, and so with these files, will all users need access to them, or is this, or?
Yes. Yes, because
so
then they go.
Google Drive solution is out.
Yeah, that was kind of something I get. If it was just him, it would be fine. Now that would work temporarily, right? And then we'd have to get everybody else set up, and then we'd have to bring it together somewhere else. And like if they had a dedicated admin there, it would be great, because I would just have the admin move things around. But they're still in the process of working the dedicated admin out. So right now it's me. So.
Right.
Well, Jennifer, I think there's one more thing to add to your list of considerations. Mm-hmm. If there's a way to get the file size down too, so that it doesn't eat up all of their data storage.
Yes, that was that was something else that I thought about as well. Is, you know, I went in and looked at what I think they have something like, you know, 32 gigs in there, and then, you know, I looked at what like his drive holds, which is a lot more, and then I was thinking, well, maybe it's better that they put them externally, and then you know, maybe condense down to what they really need. There's a lot of things you have to think about, you know, just typical admin stuff, right? Like, what are all the other factors here, and what's the long-term outcome going to be? So I don't want to just build something to build something. I kind of want it to be, you know, a workable solution a year from now too. But first things first, right? Like, can we store in an individual, you know, documents or file folder from an account level? You know, that's like question.
And I don't believe so, because when I'm in files now.
Yeah, let's test this theory.
Here is a file. You can name it. That's about it. I think what you're honestly looking at, and I had looked at this integration a few years ago back in the customer world, you know, way back when. I know that like Box has a pretty adequate integration with Salesforce that
okay.
It's pretty clean, bi-directional, and Box, the integration is smart enough that it will take whatever record, whatever detail record you assign or you try to link the file to, it'll mimic that in a folder structure on the Box side. So if you have like ABC Company, it will automatically create an ABC Company folder in Box based on whatever files you try to attach to ABC account record.
Oh, that would be, you know, because that was also something else I was looking at, is like what additional storage, you know, integrates with Salesforce well. And that's actually something I've never worked with. But he already uses Box, so that might be a solution.
Okay, because I was going to say, like, if he's already using Box, that's good, because, I mean, obviously it's probably not a free integration, but if he's already using Box, he may have already covered that cost.
Yeah, their estimates and different like PDF files that they send to customers are in there, you know, because obviously they get to be like 25 pages long. So, oh yeah, that's perfect. I'll definitely look into that, because then you could probably put a link in there to the different to their different Box accounts. Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, so you're seeing what I'm seeing here is when you're in files, it's not like Documents and Classic, you can make, you know, the different folders in there, but then in files in Lightning, there's no folder choice on that page.
Well, and even then with Documents, you still can, you could have a folder structure, but you still can relate it to a detail record.
Okay, so I'm not crazy, yay, or at least today.
Well, I mean, you're crazy, just not in this sense. I mean.
Yeah, okay, so because I was looking at this page that you have up, and I was like, am I missing something to be able to sort these files and organize them from in here? And I couldn't find it, and so that's why I'm coming to you guys today. Thank God you're here, because I'm like, I need a second set of eyes to maybe tell me if I'm just missing this part that is in here. So thank you, I appreciate it, and that's some good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jennifer, for the question, and Dale for driving us to Lightning, because there may be some people on the phone who have not had an opportunity to see Lightning, so this might give them a little flavor of it.
Well, and did you see how few clicks it took me to get there? I did it on the fly, and boom, you're in Lightning. I do not advocate actually doing that in your production org, but technically you could get it done in like 5 clicks.
Yep. Looks like we have a question from Joy Shutters-Helbing. Joy.
Hi.
Joy.
Hello, it's Joy. I actually felt really stupid the other day because someone was complaining about our lead convert notification template. And I had a Salesforce person said, oh, well, you can just change that template. And I'm like, wait, what? And I've looked everywhere, up and down, backward and forward, and like I can't find a way to change that lead notification template. I did find some solutions about setting up like your own process or your own trigger or your own workflow or whatever to take care of that. But that doesn't really replace like the standard template. And
Are you in Classic or Lightning?
I can do either. Like I'm flexible with that.
Okay.
We are in Lightning as a group, but I am very willing to work in Classic if it's available there and not in Lightning. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
So
bottom line is when you convert a lead, there is a very poor email template that's used to notify the conversion.
It's under email communications, Dale.
So there is a way to change that?
If it's what I'm thinking of and where Dale's going, it should be. So check your folders. Okay, let's see here.
I'm going to follow along in my org. Thank you.
Where is it? Where is it? It should be
this
right
is
here.
all nothing impersonal.
And it's not like in lead setup or anything. And I'm like,
No, it should be right here, and it should
is
be
that a
part
statement or a
I don't know. It's like I kept looking for it and I couldn't find it.
All right. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to bring up another org on my side. Let's see.
It's a race. It's a race.
It is. It is.
Like this is where I kind of hoped I was going to find it, and I'm like, nope. So literally
so nothing
not
in
trying to
settings that
sell
lets you can.
Yeah.
Who gets okay? So I did not know that there was a lead conversion notification email.
That's how bad it is. It's like it says like default lead owner, notify default lead owner, and the notification template I guess is very, very poor, and I don't even have a sample of it because I don't get the notification. But it's literally like this lead has been converted, and it's like a link. That's it.
Who receives it?
Well, my marketing guy gets it right now, but that's a good question.
Because he was the owner or the one that converted it?
He does a lot of that, so it could be both.
I can't even spell my own name.
You can spell your own. You just can't type it. Come on, Dale. So what I want to, I'm not sending you guys on a wild goose chase. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not totally missing this here, because.
Okay. Well, because what I'm curious about though is,
click send
is
email
it
owner.
truly?
Maybe I'll get it.
Oh, hey, how about that? Okay. That might have been the piece I was missing. So I was wondering if this was just custom automation or if this was actually standard out of the box.
We're not that fancy.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Go Google it. I just found something very interesting on the internet here, on the interwebs.
The interwebs has something interesting?
Where
Tell me.
Steve Mullis has some interesting characters on his opinion about not being able to modify internal notification email templates.
So that's what I found also, but I didn't know if this was like something new with the winter 18 release, and there were some workarounds, right? And so it was one of those things where I was like, so what am I missing? And I'm gonna have to go back to the gal I was talking to and be like, so I'm not finding what you're talking about. Can you?
Oh, so you probably saw what I found on here.
Yes.
Unless something has come out since then, you have to use a workflow.
Yes.
Oh no.
Right, and to me, like that's, and I can't find the terminology to find my answer, and I don't know if it's my lack of creativity with my terms or
You're
if
right.
it's not there. I was hoping someone had.
Everything is complaints on here.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my source on this one and see if I can get a better answer. But I felt like I was like, if she's just like talking about it, either she doesn't know what she's talking about or there's something new.
And you know what I heard the question. My mind went to lead assignment notifications as opposed to the conversion. That's what I was thinking of. Okay.
Well,
and
that too, though, like both things, like we still should have some control over that template because there's information that you would love to plug into that so that when they get this email notification, it's not just like click on the link.
So you can use a customized template for
the assignment?
Lead assignment, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
But not the conversion.
Not
Wow.
natively. So I don't know if we could talk to a developer about, hey, how would you circumvent this to maybe create a new button that sends off a a customized email notification.
Yeah, I love that solution. I don't have a developer resource except for myself, and I'm not there yet. So,
but we might.
So really, I mean, it all hinges on it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dale.
I was going to say, really, it all hinges on is Converted leverageable in Process Builder? Because if it is, then the world is your oyster.
Right.
That's true.
And so, well, I guess I was looking for here, select your personalized template that you want to use, not rewrite the process as a workaround.
Yeah, no, I know. Unfortunately, I mean, we all know, unfortunately, the lead conversion process is way too protected.
It
needs to be opened up even just a smidge. I mean,
Okay, so I will look at the workarounds that are out there, and I'll look at the Process Builder, and I think I'll be okay as a solution. But because there are workaround solutions available, I just want to make sure I was going down the path of least resistance as opposed to finding a convoluted path to go from A to B instead of A all the way around B to Z to get to B.
Well, to make you feel better, don't think of convoluted, think of most creative.
Right.
Yeah, most creative is also most easily broken. So just trying to
I'm really glad you asked this question because my other client is always having me mess with their templates, and I do the same thing. I get the assignments mixed up with the conversion, and so at least now I can say, no, I can't do this.
Okay.
There should be some help articles or answer postings about customizing the conversion process.
Yeah, there are, and they're very angry.
I meant helpful solutions.
Oh, I'm sorry. They're not solutions. They're very angry workarounds because it doesn't. Anyway, I will go back to my source and be like, so can you explain further what you were talking about? Because I can't seem to find the thing. And then I will circle back with everyone here.
That'd be great.
And just let you know that, we're all not completely losing it. It's a brand new feature that wasn't in the notes or something, What'd you do?
If worse came to worse, lead is converted is leverageable.
Okay.
If worse came to worse.
So that's great, but so if I check the box, do you know what I'm saying? But the thing is, then we still have that checkbox over there, so the terrible template's going to go out and this one. So now I'm sending 2 emails out.
Well, the checkbox.
If they check the box.
I was going to say the checkbox is defaulted unchecked.
Yeah, so maybe I can take away the checkbox, but I don't know.
I think that there is some code out there to do that, but now I'm wondering if that requires creating a Visual Force page in order to remove that.
Yeah, and that's
and if you do that, are you then still able to turn is converted to true, which that process does? Because I don't even know if you can code your way into flipping is converted from false to true.
Interesting. Because is converted, that's closing the lead, really. It's locking down the lead, and then moving, mapping everything to the new object, or the new records. And and to my knowledge, through that page is the only way you can get is converted to be selected true. Right, because they don't want you to flip that switch and not create the records. Or not add the whatever information to the existing records. Yep. Yeah. I don't know that you can get around this at all. Yeah. This isn't technically a piece of metadata that you could write a validation rule around. This is just a super protected thing. Okay. So. I'll marinate on that a little bit longer, and like I said, I'll reach out to the gal who maybe misspoke and make sure I'm not going down a rabbit hole on this one. Because my marketing got really excited. He's like, yeah, that email's totally not helpful. And she's like, oh, well, you can change that. And I'm like, wait, what? I was like, wait, I've been dealing with converted leads for 10 plus years. Don't tell me that I can change the template. I am posting a link. I did not read this whole thing, so this may or may not be helpful. I'm posting a link to everybody. There you go, in the chat. That
talks about creating a customized lead convert page.
Thank you.
You got it. It does require a Visualforce page.
That's
Thank
all
you,
right.
Jackie. That's awesome.
You are welcome. Yay. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that. And that's all I got for today.
All right. Anybody else have questions? And again, it doesn't matter what the question is. If you need to know how to create a field, we'll talk about it.
Hey, I'll hit you guys with another one if you have
Go ahead.
5 minutes.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
your one though. For a client who's brand new to Salesforce and needs examples, because I know you're a marketing genius, Jackie, he's looking for examples of email templates to send out at different phases of like customer stages, you know, to actually fill his new Salesforce up with. And I know that has to be out there somewhere, like just the different stages of a sales process and like what's recommended, even like for a drip campaign for people that go to the website, or, you know, where would a person who wants to, or a customer who wants to learn for themselves how to market find material like that?
You're talking about how can they educate themselves if they are just entering the marketing world?
Right. So if you wanted to take ownership, for example, you have a customer that signs a contract and does business with you. What are the typical like thank you for your business, or you know you've completed this process of or we've done like phase 1 of what we're going to do for you. You know, I'm just throwing this out there. Like, where would a person who wants to customize his emails to his customers find an example of emails, because these would go into the templates in Salesforce and hopefully into like a future marketing program. And you know, obviously he could hire somebody to do this, but he really wants to like personalize or maybe even find out what works best. You know, like what's the, you know, the proper way of, you know, thanking somebody for doing business with you that's not like over spamming. That sort of thing. And I was thinking somewhere along the lines there should probably be a recommended communications when selling to customers. And I've combed all through, you know, like out on the web and Salesforce notes. But if you don't have a particular marketing program, there's no like just like best use cases for templates. Since this is what reminded me of it, since we were talking about the conversion template.
Yeah, I just found a blog and I just kind of skimmed through it. This might be a good starting point. If it were me and the client approached me with that, I would start with, what are your stages? What do you, to craft them, what are your stages? What do you want to tell them? What's the message at each one of those stages? And what is the call to action at each one of those? I mean, that to me, that's the most important. Writing a simple thank you note, that one's easy, but is there a call to action with that? And you have to really think about what you want the customer or the prospect to do at each one of those phases, and what are you giving them that is of value to have them click and do whatever it is that you want, because you're trying to garner data or you're trying to measure interest.
Yeah, any information like that, because typically my realm of expertise stays more, you know, in the analytics and the sales cycle. And typically I've either worked at companies that had a marketing department that took care of all of that. So I'm not the best versed to say, you know, oh, this is how to do that, right? And so I was wanting, but it's really just more of like a side project for him to educate himself, which is nice. But then I thought, well, maybe you guys would know.
Yeah, that's how I would approach it. I mean, there's that link that I just sent, but
thank you.
I would really approach it as, what is he trying to convey? And avoid sending emails just because he thinks he should send them. There's got to be, you know, there's got to be a call to action, because, and if he starts to question that, I would say, how many times do you get emails from XY company and you don't even read them? You just simply delete them because they are from whatever company. And right now you don't have the time to, or the interest or the inclination or the budget. So it hits your inbox, but then it's almost like an automatic delete.
Yes. And that's what I'm trying to, you know, he's in the earlier stages of his company, and I'm trying to have him go in, you know, with best practices versus just flying by the seat of his pants like he's
Right.
been doing building his company. And so I know, like I said, that was out there. And so right now, like they wouldn't hit like any limits, just using out of the box with Salesforce. So I told him, just let's use this for now. But then out of the box with Salesforce isn't like some of the other marketing tools that come with like automated, send this next and this next, that kind of walk you like, Pardot, some of the other ones kind of walk you more through that process.
Right.
So I've never had to just do it from scratch.
The other thing that I would talk to him about is he needs to understand that he has to comply with unsubscribes.
Yeah, it's
because
huge.
you don't want to give somebody an opportunity to unsubscribe if you're spamming them.
Yeah, I'm seeing a phase 2 referred out to somebody who's an expert, and maybe you.
Well, we can certainly talk about this some more, and I can give you some ideas, and let's see what else we can find as far as maybe some proven examples out there.
Yeah.
And I don't know who told you I was a marketing expert. I'm not, but I have a little bit of a background. A little bit. So
well, I think you're pretty good at it. That's my personal opinion. But it is something good, I think, for just admins in general to educate themselves on what those because we get so caught up in, you have to have a marketing tool to do those things. Well, back in the early days, you didn't have to have a marketing tool. You just kind of built that in Salesforce, right? And so I'm trying to circle back, and I'm realizing there's not a ton of information there. So it's kind of just a nice topic if we do find that to put out there for people. But thank you so much. That helps a lot right there.
Sure. And I can actually refer you to a couple of people too, if he wants to have conversations with people who live in that space and do that all day long. So
yeah, great. Thank you.
That for you too. Okay, fantastic. All right. Oh, we've got some hands up. Michelle Yan. Let me see if I have you on mute. Hold on. Nope.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Michelle.
Okay. Hi everybody. And hello, Dave. I know Dale. I know that we've been chatting a little bit via email as well.
Yeah.
I have actually a burning question. So a little background. I just started as a fellow admin for my company a month ago, and we are launching a new passenger rail service from Miami to Orlando. So we are launching in another month, and I am supposed to integrate all the different departments, and our integrations, we have like 3 different integrations as well. So I have a data schema question for you guys as far as getting B2B and B2C to live within the same instance of Salesforce. Right now, the different options that I've kind of thought about for having our B2C live within Salesforce, and I say B2C, it's kind of false. When I say B2C, I mean e-com. So someone who buys an annual pass from B2B method, they will still have to book and also do all the bookings online and have a profile online as well. So that would be e-com information as well. So basically, how would I merge the profile that I would get from the booking side with the existing contact that we might have, the contact information we might have from meeting them at an event and putting them into Salesforce as a prospect? So I don't know if that made any sense at all.
That made a ton of sense, actually. In its own weird way, it made a ton of sense.
And these are the 3 methods I'm thinking about. So the first I'm thinking about is person accounts. And I've heard a lot of back and forth about that. And then someone else I talked to said Salesforce relaunched that in spring of 2016 or something. But I know there's some reporting issues. And then also just the integrations of whether the booking information would flow into a contact for a B2B contact or flow into a person account for a B2C person. And then the second option I was thinking was recommended on Stack Exchange, which was just to have an account of the same contact name.
And so
And
I would
being able-
probably lean. Go ahead.
And the
No,
third
go ahead.
option would be to do a custom object that's named profiles or something that would somehow link into a contact.
So the thing with person accounts is it's kind of an all or nothing application. It either needs to apply 100% or 0%. And if you have a mix of B2B and B to quote unquote C sales, the gray area gets really weird to work with.
Right.
My first inclination would be, if you're B2B, then great, that's accounts, and then you have contacts that are affiliated with those accounts, and then anybody that is your B2C business, you orphan those contacts. You don't have an account, but then if you're working with leads, that's impossible because company name is required. So then I would probably lean towards, you have an account name that is the same as a contact name so that you don't muddy the waters with person accounts.
Okay, so we're not using leads. Actually, I'm just using, how we're using accounts is I have like a type and I have like prospect, customer, political figure, that kind of thing. So we're not using leads for that purpose, if that makes sense. Or what about a custom object named profile, and having a profile somehow be able to match and live in a contact if that profile was an existing B2B customer.
Is the information that you're considering collecting on a custom object what I would call transactional? Meaning you're going to have more than one record on that custom object over time?
Yes, so all these profiles are going to be all the accounts of people who sign up via the website, or who basically have a profile like, oh, this is their email, this is the way they want to be contacted. Yeah, these are their settings. This is how they want to sit on the train, whatever.
Honestly, I would use that for leads because for one thing, if you're capturing information about the people who are doing it from a website, there's native web to lead functionality that's just a few lines of HTML code to drop into a website, and Salesforce takes it from there to drop it into a lead to be converted to accounts, contacts, and opportunities. The thing with using, at least what I shy away from, please don't take what I say as the gospel, but what I shy away from is creating a custom object to serve the same purpose of a standard object. Creates a lot more work down the road, because the beauty of Salesforce's standard functionality is, as you go through the 3 releases a year and constant upgrades and all that kind of stuff, your core standard functionality, including the standard objects, are always going to be supported, versus if you go down a custom object route that is mimicking something that's standard, it's then on you to have to keep that maintenance up, when Salesforce has already built a whole bunch of hooks and all that kind of stuff around the standard functionality.
Okay. So I am using web to lead. So we have basically a sign up field where it says, oh, would you like to be a Brightline for Business customer? If so, here's your name, title, business, like what's the name of your business and what's the industry. So I am using leads in terms of a salesperson has to go in and figure out, okay, what's their actual address? Do they have multiple addresses? And then we would turn that into an account. And when I say account, I don't mean a customer. I mean like, okay, this is a bona fide built out prospects that we have all the information to go and prospect from.
So you go from the website to the lead. We were just talking about this at the start of the call. Leads can only be converted into account, contact, opportunity manually. So there's somebody somewhere along the way that is manually carrying this over.
Yeah, they have to add information.
Okay. So then,
as I understand, the web to lead has like limited customization. So I was planning to use a web collect down the road and then having either like marketing cloud connect flowed into Sales Cloud. But I think that in terms of for someone's like train like, or their personal profile, as far as writing, there's so many fields there that because basically how we're using contact is different than how we're using this profile, so to speak. So the contacts might have all their email from like the business card, and then it's going to have what events they went to, what campaigns for the B2B side. But the profile is more of a personal thing, and you could be either writing the train for business and using a business product, or you could also be writing it on your own time, and that's going to probably have like their own personal emails and their custom ride settings.
So when you're capturing things like email addresses, is that going to be used downstream for any kind of marketing, like Pardot, Marketing Cloud, any other tools?
Yeah, Marketing Cloud.
Tools, and then is that able to ping into a custom object, or because I haven't actively worked with Marketing Cloud, I am now truly asking out of ignorance here.
Yeah, no, I actually haven't worked with Marketing Cloud either, so I'm just like trying to look up all this information.
Gotcha. Because I know that there are some e-marketing tools out there that will only use contacts or leads or campaigns, and that's it. They won't let you leverage any custom object information. And that's another thing to keep in mind just when you're building your schema out in general is future proofing for what may come down the road that may have limitations, if that makes sense. But if there's multiple attributes, or if the profile is a custom object that would be a child of the contact, because you may have multiple profiles per contact, then that makes sense. Nobody wants to have an object that's several hundred fields wide because you said instance number 1 of this, instance number 2 of this, instance number 3 of this, all is fields. It makes sense to have child records. But is the profile a child or a parent of the contact object?
I would say...
Is there on the contact record? On the contact record, is there a lookup to it, or does profile look up to contact?
So I was thinking that the profile would be a child, but the thing is, I think there's going to be eventually down the road more information that's in the profile, and 70 to 80% of our business is only going to be B2C. So this use case where it's a child of the contact, that would only be for B2B customers, right? It'd only be for that 20%. And then there's going to be like majority of people like didn't, meet us at some corporate event. It'd be like 80% like single ride or 10 pack kind of customers.
Okay.
Sounds like there are so many layers to this that if you haven't already, I would whiteboard it out.
Yeah. To
help you make some decisions on where should this information sit. And when you're talking about having multiple profiles, are those multiple profiles always active, or is it just the most recent one that should be active? And what are you doing?
Well, it's something actually I'm still trying to figure out with IT in terms of whether they want to have like a personal and a work profile down the line. I think that where it's going to eventually go is that there's just going to be one profile. It's just going to be one profile per person.
I would lean toward, and again, since I haven't whiteboarded any of this, but if it's one set of data that's not going to change over time, meaning it's not transactional, to me, I see that sitting on the individual contact record as a separate section, but on the main contact itself. Just like you would add phone number, email, so you would add these 10 or 15 fields that are specific to that one contact.
So I had an architect suggest like a freestanding contact, but I looked into it. I don't think freestanding contacts are possible, are they? I know that people have been clamoring for like a person object for some time, but I don't think it's possible to just have a freestanding contact.
You could, but then you would not be able to. That's the same as any custom object. You wouldn't be able to convert and map data over to it. And it would also break any of your marketing integration that Dale was talking about, where it honors the email address on the lead or the contact, the standard.
Right. I mean, like using like the standard custom object, but then doesn't the standard custom object the standard contact object have to be connected to account always?
Nope, not always.
That's how you end up with orphaned contacts that you can't get to in reports.
Yeah.
And are there reporting issues around orphaned contacts?
Yeah, you can't get to
out of the
list
box.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to build a custom report type and to show contacts only, but then there's other functionalities tied to the account object that then require an account to be referenced to then leverage on the contact object and any other child objects for that matter. But
and I would test that too, because Dale, the last time I tried to do that, I could not get to, and it just may be a while that I have done this, but I could not get to a report list using custom report types of orphaned contacts. But it's been a while. Contacts only where account name is blank. Right. I couldn't get to that list. So I would just say, just test it just to make sure before going down that road. And it may have changed with all of the updates, but I just remember that was an issue for me.
So even with the cons of having some reporting issues, like in your guys' opinion, you still think that it's best to use freestanding or orphan contacts as a profile for no,
I would make an account name that is the contact's name. It's a little redundant, but it still hooks onto an account to get all those goodies that the account object offers.
Okay. Have either of you guys worked with Squid as a GUI?
I have not.
I have not, but we have them coming to our next user group meeting.
Okay. Just because I know everyone's been like pushing Lightning and like there's so many marketing dollars being spent on Lightning, but and this is kind of like basic build questions like Classic versus Lightning, right? I just feel like there's so many functionality in Classic that is not there, and that Lightning is not production ready yet. For instance, orders that have been reduced, like reduction orders on returns, are not available via Lightning, or Web to Lead is not available on Lightning, for instance. Yeah, do you guys have any opinion as far as that?
Yeah, with each new release, there's a plethora of Lightning parity functionality that's coming across. We've been told that not everything in Classic will be brought over into Lightning, but eventually there'll be so much in Lightning that it will outweigh staying on Classic. The other thing that we all have to recognize and accept is that they are not going to build anything else, any other features and functionalities in Classic. So that is going to, that's going to become stagnant over time. And there is so much in Lightning that is just so awesome and fantastic that solves so many of the things that we've been talking about for many years. But it will not be 100% parity. It just won't. I don't know which of those features won't come over, but it won't.
Right. I mean, for instance, like some features that I think are going to be quite essential, like being able to like return orders and like doing the web to lead. Like, I'm just surprised that like that isn't available via Lightning, and I just like want to know if I'm like crazy for like wanting to stay on Classic, because I know everyone's like, oh, don't stay on Classic, but Like, for instance, I built this, I had a guy come in and build a multiple address thing because we can't have multiple addresses. So it's basically an address object with multiple addresses. And on the main page, it rolls up to there's a space for a primary address. And it also calculates the closest station and the distance to nearest station. And, we'll flag it if it's like within a certain radius. In Lightning, like there's basically like we were trying to figure out a way to like see all those fields, and you couldn't see that in Lightning, for instance. You couldn't see like for an app, like you couldn't adjust the layout of the page so that you could see the calculated distance. You would have to like click and do another, there was more mouse clicks essentially to see the full thing layout because you couldn't adjust the layout. Like, have you guys had issues with that in terms of, or am I not looking in the right space?
I have not rolled out Lightning yet, so I've only dabbled in some of the things. So, but the one thing that I would Go ahead, Dale.
Go ahead. And I literally just rolled out Lightning yesterday for a client.
Yeah.
That was my first time. So that was my first time.
Yeah, I've had issues like with these layouts in Lightning.
So gigantic disclaimer question here. This app that was calculating distance and everything, is it I'm assuming it takes a lot of code.
Yeah.
So it's Visualforce.
It's Visualforce. I had a solutions architect build it out. So it was an existing app, and then he like built other custom pieces for what I needed. So I don't know how much code, but yeah, he was like, it's crazy that there's no. And what he was saying is that a lot of companies are feeling like Lightning is not production ready because of these layout issues or what have you, and that companies like GE are thinking about just going over to Squid.
My honest opinion?
Mm-hmm.
My honest opinion is any developer now that Lightning's been around for a couple of years, is it 100% no? Is it ready for prime time? Yeah, it's just about there. And it's only getting better. Developers have had time to learn the nuances of code between Classic and Lightning, to where perhaps the developer isn't up to speed on how to accommodate Lightning. I'm giving that semi-grimaced face, hoping that there aren't any other developers on the call that want to throw something at me. But there's been time to learn what coding looks like in Lightning. That excuse isn't really applicable anymore, would be my honest take.
Okay.
Because coding, and this is the same for Classic, as soon as you bring in code, you have made a very dedicated, committed decision, because it does have some not irreversible effects. That sounds pretty bad, but there are some things that once you engage code in some places, you are down that path. And so you always have to account for it. And so with Lightning layouts and everything, it was not necessarily meant to be coded up. It can be coded up, but it was still meant to be more viable for the declarative point-and-click admin. That was its intent at baseline. So that's where developers kind of have heartburn about it. What?
You're telling the truth, Dale. It's like having a Salesforce child for everything you build in code has to be maintained and fed, and make sure they're planned.
Michelle, what you might want to do is post this question on Answers, and I would put, attention developers, and ask your question. And then you're going to get a plethora of different responses, and maybe some really good dialogue between developers to say, hey, well, I discovered you can do this, and someone else discovered this, and you might get what you're looking for either in a solution or better educated on the questions to ask when you're working with a developer. So I would go down that path.
And then also in terms of more generally Classic versus Lightning, these issues or these functionality that I was mentioning, the web to lead or being able to do returns on orders and reference those original orders. How do you guys make decisions around that? Okay, I'm ready to switch to Lightning, but I'm ready to not use one or two of these things, and I'm going to go around it that way. Or have you had to make any of those decisions?
Well, I mean, of course, I mean, every piece of functionality that you're looking at does need to be weighed. Is it not lightning ready, but lightning available?
Right.
And then, I mean, really, it comes down, you as the admin, you as the product owner, you compile what's ready and what's not. And that, and this becomes a strategic question back to your business of, so how much do you want this? If you want absolutely everything else and you can't have this one thing, you may just need to be okay with that until it is ready. You know, it becomes a strategic conversation at that point.
Okay.
And I'm going to interrupt us right here to do a quick time check because we've got 2 minutes left on this call, and I wanted to just see if anybody else had questions before we jumped off because we kind of got on a big roll there, and I lost track of time.
Tangent.
No, it was a very good conversation.
Great questions.
Michelle,
yep.
And Michelle, we are continuing this conversation in San Francisco. So
okay, lovely. Perfect.
There you go. Good. All right. Does anybody else have a question?
What's Dreamforce?
Only the best tech conference ever.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Well, then if nobody has any questions, we hope that, Dale, do we have another call between now and Dreamforce? No.
We do, in 2 weeks.
We do.
Yeah.
Wait, today's the 20th. I'm losing track. This is the 3rd.
November 3rd.
Yes, so we will have one right before we all head out to Dreamforce. So if you guys have any questions and you need some assistance with trying to figure out how to absorb the fire hose that is Dreamforce, please let us know. You can get us either on Twitter or through Success Community, or you can ping us individually. And we'll be happy to see what kind of guidance we can give you to make sure that you have a great Dreamforce experience. If you are not going to Dreamforce, but you still want to take advantage of all of the learnings and ongoings, let us know that too, and we can point you to maybe some keynote links. And the other thing everyone should know is that all of the standard sessions are recorded. So just because you're not there in person does not mean you cannot watch the YouTube video down the road in probably 4 weeks or so when they publish them. So you still get to take advantage of that as well. And Joy says, can't wait for Dreamforce, 16 days. Thank you for the update. Yes, 16 days. Pack comfortably. Wear comfortable shoes. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let's call this call a day. And thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you all got something out of it, and that we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, see you guys.